morning. I'd like to welcome you to our Big Idea session, Democratizing Retail Media Through Technology That Powers Growth. I'm Celeste Donahoe, and I'm the Global Lead of Amazon Retail Ad Service. I'm excited to be joined by two industry leaders, Michael Kranz and Mike Feldman, who are coming along at the forefront of this journey. And I'd like to allow them to introduce themselves. Unfortunately, Jason from Hanes Brands was unable to join us last minute, but Mike is going to represent his point of view as well. They work closely.
Well, thank you, Celeste. Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad I didn't wear that shirt today. I almost did. I'm Michael Kranz. I'm the VP of Retail Media for Macy's, Inc. I lead Macy's Media Network, where we are the RMN for all three Macy's nameplates, Macy's, Bloomingdale's, and Bluemercury.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Feldman. I am SVP of Commerce at Flywheel. Commerce being the most nebulous term in our industry, I always have to define that. And so commerce at Flywheel and Omnicom is the integration of both the retail and the media practices. So I help lead those. And then, like Celeste mentioned, poor Jason, him and his family are sick today. And so in addition to running the commerce practice, I'm also our executive sponsor of our Hanes Brands relationship. So I'll be wearing two hats today, both Flywheel and Hanes.
Thank you. The retail landscape has evolved into a $100 billion plus opportunity. It's transforming how brands connect with consumers and how advertisers connect with consumers and brands across digital properties. Today, we're going to explore how Amazon Retail Ad Service is empowering retailers to unlock this potential while providing advertisers with seamless solutions to reach high-touch shoppers where they're spending their time. Over the next 30 minutes, you'll hear firsthand around the opportunities, challenges, innovations, and learnings across retail media. And we hope that you'll leave with actionable insights and practical advice. So let's dive in. Michael, for the retailers in this room that are evaluating retail media, can you walk us through the strategic decision to work with Amazon Retail Ad Service? What business problems were you solving, and why was partnering with Amazon the right solution for you?
Yeah, great question. Well, I think it started with the customer. And at Macy's, we are always thinking about how we can serve our customer. And for us at Macy's Media Network, our customer is the advertiser. And so I wanted to essentially remove friction from the ad buying process. I wanted to give another option, another way for our advertisers to easily execute media campaigns, specifically sponsored products, on Macy's.com. And I knew that a vast majority of our advertisers, both active and inactive, were already in the Amazon ecosystem. So for me, it was really about meeting my customer, the advertiser, where they are. And retail ad service really gave me that opportunity. I think there's a ton of complexity, a ton of fragmentation in retail media. And I think companies like Flywheel and Hanes Brands are looking for simplicity, ease of ad buying, and consistency. And so that's what I was hearing from the advertising community. And again, that was another reason to work with Retail Ad Service. And then after I aligned on this strategy, of course, I had to work with leaders at Macy's to gain buy-in on this. And so I think really it was all about starting with the customer, serving our customer, being where they are, however they want to buy, and which is very much aligned with the Macy's ethos about our customer. And so we sort of talked about openly this idea of co-opetition, right? How two retailers can actually collaborate in one space in digital media advertising and then also compete in another space. Two things can be true. And so after, as sort of everyone got comfortable with that and really recognized the business opportunity here and how we could serve our advertisers, our brand partners, it was really a win-win for everyone.
It's so exciting to hear you talk about our shared obsession for advertisers as a customer. A primary objective in building Amazon Retail Ad Service was to make it as seamless and performant to buy retail media wherever shoppers are spending their time. And our partnership with Macy's Media Network has been really critical to showing that. So we really appreciate it. Thank you. Mike, I'll turn it over to you. You work with Hanes Brands, who have a number of household names. What is the role of Macy's Media Network within their marketing strategy, and how do you work with Amazon Ads capabilities to deliver that?
Absolutely. So for Hanes, as we think about their overall landscape, their top-ranked customers, if we look at it, I mean, Macy's is a huge and critical customer, just like Amazon. With Macy's in particular, Macy's is a top 5 apparel retailer in the U.S., and as most people know, Hanes sells apparel, and so that becomes incredibly important. And so I even remember, the first day that Michael presented the opportunity, obviously Hanes has been running with Macy's for a bit. Hanes is the most leaned into Amazon, and we've had a ton of success there. And so this was such a really interesting opportunity to bring the best of both of those worlds together, the media and the tech that we have from an Amazon perspective, and then Macy's with those customers, a huge amount of sales. And so right after the first presentation from Michael at the Hanes team, we got on the phone right after, and basically we were like, we should do this, right? Like, this is awesome. We get to take all this great data and go sell. And so for Hanes, it really became, what can we be doing to be as efficient and effective with all those dollars? Where can we be capturing more incremental audiences, incremental revenue? And so, right after that opportunity, we jumped at it and started collaborating.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned that the tools and capabilities are critical to meeting their Hanes Media success objectives. Can you walk us through how Hanes evaluates success, what success metrics they're looking to see?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite things about working with the Hanes team, and to any brand out there, this is what I would recommend. Hanes is incredibly good partners because they are very clear about what their North Star metrics are. They want to be driving more sales, more share, and at a better profit. And so those really clear North Star KPI metrics made it easy for us to start to evaluate. Hanes had previously run with Macy's. Obviously, there's been other tech stacks there. And so that enabled us to create a really good testing environment where we looked at how Hanes ran in Macy's with other tech stacks to then what we were running with Amazon RAS. And so the results, my favorite thing about retail media is that we're the quickest feedback loops tied to sales. So after only a couple weeks, we saw that 2 of the different Hanes brands were seeing immediate incremental sales right off the bat. Other 2, we were seeing some varied metrics, and that's where we got to dive under the hood, look to see where we could optimize. And so, we're looking at everything from the category trends, the keyword trends, and where we're ultimately driving incremental value for the brand.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about the levers that you pull when you're driving those success metrics?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a blend of both the platform metrics as well as what we can get through scraping tools. And so it's looking at what is going on with competition, the different brands and immediate competitors to the category, what is going on with price, both for Hanes as well as other brands. And then we're obviously looking at the keywords, the different media tactics, and really going deep off the nerd deep end into the data. But it was also, we were able to see really clear things. So like if you look at Made in Form, which is obviously, women's category, we saw that was a huge opportunity. There wasn't that same level of competitive pressure. There was incremental audiences out there for Hanes that they weren't capturing with other retailers. And so we noticed that right off the bat and started to pour gas on that fire.
Awesome. As you noted that you work with a number of brands, including Hanes, across a number of retailers, including Macy's and Amazon. Can you share a little bit more about how this relationship works? How do you support Hanes?
Yeah. So with Hanes, I am proud to say that Omnicom works with Hanes in everything they are doing in media. And so while Flywheel is the commerce agency, for lack of a better word, within Omnicom, Omnicom handles both the brand media and the retail media side of the business. And so Hearts and Science working on the brand media, Flywheel working on retail media. Additionally, within Flywheel, we're working across every single retailer in the ecosystem. And so Where this creates a really nice thing, again, to those really clear North Star metrics with Hanes, you did not hear me say they need to drive a certain amount of sales at Macy's. They need to drive a certain amount of sales at Amazon, at Walmart, et cetera. No, it's they want to drive the most efficient and effective sales with their dollars. And so whether that's brand media or retail media, whether that's Macy's or Amazon, no offense to either of you, they want to drive the most efficient and effective sales possible. And so as an agency, being able to not only look across those different retailers with those aligned incentives with the client, the brand, but now being able to run that in one platform, one data ecosystem creates really, really, really clear data on what we can do to drive those returns. And by the way, this is just the beginning. I have not even gotten into where we're going to go deeper into AMC, integrating D2C data, trading up, trading over different items. This is literally just the beginning.
Awesome. Well, we've talked a lot about Hanes brands, Michael. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you're hearing from your other brand partners?
Overall, we're getting a very, very positive response. I would say there's two major themes here, two major groups of customers that we're getting good response from. I would say from our enterprise advertisers like Hanes, the message that we're sending across is confidence. Because when a partner like Flywheel or Hanes comes to us and knows that we're using best-in-class ad tech with Amazon, it just builds credibility and confidence. They know that we're continuously improving and enhancing our ad offering to the community. And then I think the second part is that outside of our enterprise advertisers, it's also presented the opportunity for us to activate a lot of new advertisers in the tail and torso. A lot of our sellers in our marketplace are now activating in sponsored products. So it just opens up a whole new revenue opportunity for us. We don't have the headcount. There's a huge operational lift, of course, associated with activating all of those emerging and marketplace advertisers. But with Amazon Retail Ad Service and the credibility that they bring, it's just opened up a whole new opportunity for us. And I think then across both fronts on enterprise advertisers and those emerging and marketplace advertisers, it's now about enablement. It's all about mastering the tools, getting into the platform, doing some of the work. And that's what is required here. This is not just a set it and forget it. You can't just for instance, Hanes doesn't apply the same strategies they would apply with any other retailer. They have to learn our customer. They have to customize their campaigns in a way that matches the Macy's customer behavior. So I would say that this is something that requires a lot of attention, a lot of work, but I'm so glad to say that our various agency partners and API partners have really dug in, and something they're really excited about. So everyone's been very willing to come and do the hard work.
Awesome. Well, from a business perspective, what impact has Amazon Retail Ad Service had to you, and what's next for the Macy's Media Network?
Well, as I said, the immediate impact is a commercial one. So we've just started that in our pilot partnership with Retail Ad Service. So we've already seen a huge uptick in the number of new brands advertising on our platform or through the Retail Ad Service platform. We've seen over 175 brands come and now activate sponsored products. So we're seeing the commercial impact. We're seeing the credibility impact. And as for what's next, I think what this helps us do is move beyond just a retailer that's serving ads. This positions us as a tech-enabled media solution to the community. And I think that's what we hope to build upon. And I think now as we look to 26, it's all about scale and acceleration. How do we take advantage of everything that we built over the last 4 months and really scale it?
Mike, Omnicom and Flywheel have a long history of strong and early partnerships, so thank you. Can you tell me a little bit more about, from your vantage point across hundreds of thousands advertisers and brands, what kind of opportunity does this open up for you? Where do you see this going?
Yeah, so Amazon Retail Ad Service creates a ton of easy opportunities, and building off what Michael was just sharing, it made the barrier to entry incredibly low for Hanes and Flywheel to test it out, because For people that don't know the history of Flywheel, we literally started Flywheel the day the Amazon Ads API was created. And so we blend both the agency services as well as we have a major tech component. And so that technology, as most people know, is critical to retail media. It's more data points than any single human could possibly comprehend. And so that's where the technology is taking all those great data and insights tied to sales and making something of that. And so with Flywheel, we obviously have API integrations and technology across many of the major retailers and RMNs in the space. With Amazon, it is the most advanced. Amazon has more data. We've been at it since, again, literally the day the Amazon Ads API was created. And so it is years and years of billions of data points tied to consumer transaction. This is incredibly important and robust. Then you take all that great stuff and you plug it into, and again, I'll go back to a top 5 apparel customer in the US, top 5 apparel retailer, huge for the Hanes brand. So you're taking all this great technology, all this great data, all this approach to media, and then you're basically supercharging all the wonderful data that Macy's has and these great customers that are tied to that business. So for us at Flywheel, it is incredibly exciting because we get to take the best of everything we've been doing for 15 years with Amazon, and we get to hit the ground running with this new program with Macy's. And so as we even think about where this continues to scale, we have great technology in place with Amazon. The second we tap into Amazon RAS, into other retailers, it allows us to maximize the amount of sales, data, insights, and drive more consumers to purchase brands for our clients, or to purchase products for our clients, sorry.
Okay. All right, well, let's step back a little bit. Michael, what advice would you have for your industry peers who might be considering Amazon retail ad service?
I would say for brands in the audience, you can't mistake the operational ease for strategic sameness, as I was saying before. So you and the brands and agencies may be very familiar with this platform, but you have to look at your own customer. You've got to work with, in this case, Amazon Retail Ad Service, to sort of iterate and work through how to really show up to that customer. And so you can't, it's just not a sort of a rinse and repeat or stamping the same approach. You've really got to partner with brands, and that's why working with Hanes has been so great, because you've really made the commitment to customizing that strategy, right? It's the same tools that you're so familiar with, but it really requires you to think about who the Macy's customer is, what motivates them, and serving up those products that are highly relevant that's going to encourage them to convert.
Great. What about you, Mike? What advice do you have for your clients and peers?
Yeah, so on the brand side, I will go back to my advice I would give to any brand and what makes Hanes so successful at testing these things. Obviously, test, learn, optimize. Things are changing literally every second. By the time we get out of this panel, I'm sure there will be some new product release or announcement of some kind. But create really clear goals. That then enables to give you the North Star to break down those organizational barriers. I think brands' biggest challenge in retail media is that it's more how they are aligning incentives internally. Where are you breaking down silos? Where are you operating with the best interest of driving as many sales, share, and profit as possible versus what people are doing in their individual silo, whether that's brand or retail media, commerce, shopper, you name it. Where I will take this then a little further is I've had the pleasure in my career working on both the buy side of retail media and the sell side of retail media. And so for the retailers out there, retail media is obviously a $100 billion plus industry. This is not going away. It's only going to continue to skyrocket as it's been going up 20% year over year for the last decade. There are now over 200 different RMNs. My advice to the retailers there that are building these is it's not field of dreams. If you build it, it doesn't necessarily mean that the advertiser dollars will pour in. And so that's where I go with the old adage of like garbage in, garbage out. And so where I think Amazon RAS is so interesting is that Amazon is the largest player in retail media. I think that's not surprising to anyone. They have seen more data, more spend than anyone else. So applying all of those best practices, all of those learnings, and all of those insights, and supercharging that into Macy's, which has a extremely loyal consumer base, dominates in the apparel category, makes all the sense in the world. So again, to the retailers out there, think about what is in your tech stack. Where can you take all of your data, your properties, and maximize that in the best way for advertising partners, both in ease of execution and how are you maximizing that to drive actual brand impact in terms of sales?
I would just add on to that to say from the RMN perspective, for those retailers out there that are looking to build a retail media network, this is certainly one route to take. I think you've got to work through internally the idea of co-opetition, right? To see if how comfortable you are in terms of partnering with Amazon. Again, for us, it's a partnership between Macy's Media Network and Amazon Retail Ad Service. So it's very clear that this is about a digital ads partnership. And then I would say for those retailers out there that have an RMN, working with retail ad service is a way to drive acceleration. This is all about giving your advertiser partners, your brand partners, agencies, tech partners, the ability to use tools that they're very comfortable with. And it's another source of demand. It creates consistency. It creates ease of use. And, it just gives, if you're already working with a sponsored product ad server partner, working with retail ad service doesn't mean that you've got to, totally go one way or the other. We're working with multiple sponsored product ad server partners. So I think it's about optionality, and I think it's about meeting your advertisers, your customers where they are, and giving them that choice.
Perfect segue. Michael, where do you see this going? What are your plans for the Macy's Media Network and the Amazon Retail Ad Service partnership?
I think RMNs and the industry in general is going to be looking for solutions to solve this problem of fragmentation and complexity. So I think standardization is a huge trend coming our way. And so just again, simplifying the ad buying process, giving advertisers the opportunity to execute, in this case, sponsored products with workflows that they're familiar with. I'm very hopeful that retail ad service will bring on more and more retailers. That's only good news for Macy's. It brings more attention to the platform, and it's just more brands familiar with the opportunity. I would say it's also about, from us, it's about acceleration of our business. I mentioned how we've, both on the enterprise side of our advertiser base and also emerging to marketplace, we've brought in a lot of new advertisers. We've accelerated revenue generation. And so 26 for the theme for me is all about, now that we've built the foundation, we've put the work into the integration and building that strong foundation. How do we now accelerate and go into growth mode? And then I think the third thing for us is strategic depth, because this is not just about sponsored products, of course. We want to be speaking to our customers across the journey. We have a full funnel suite of ad offerings to speak to our customers, whether they're in the consideration phase, whether they're from awareness consideration to conversion. So I think this is our gateway to talking to brands about, you start with sponsored products, you build credibility, and then it's opening up that opportunity then to bring them into other media activation opportunities.
Well, thank you, as time flies. But thanks, Mike and Michael, for our incredible conversation today. I really appreciate the time that you spent here, but mostly I really appreciate our ongoing partnership. It's been inspiring for our team and for me to work and watch you build for our collective customers every day. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As we wrap up, I wanted to leave you with 3 takeaways from today's conversation. So I think first you heard that standardization helps to solve complexity in a fragmented landscape with over 200 retail media networks. Common language for brands, agencies, retailers is important to help enable faster launches, more scale, and better performance. Second, that accessibility unlocks growth. So Macy's Media Network was able to add over 175 new brands within the first couple of months of working with Amazon Retail Ad Service. And that included, as Michael talked about, many small and mid-sized vendors who would not have been able to participate before. So this is what kind of democratization looks like in action. And then third, efficiency can create competitive advantage. So when brands can use similar tools across multiple channels and multiple retailers, they spend less time focused on platform management and more time driving their performance and driving innovation. So we hope that this partnership continues to prove that co-opetition works, that rising tides do lift all boats. And if you want to learn more about the Amazon Retail Ad Service, we've got a couple of ways. So there's a tech talk this afternoon at 2 p.m. in the Amazon AWS booth. That's booth 4438. And we also have members of the Amazon Retail Ad Service team that are available for demos throughout the day today and tomorrow at that booth and at the AWS booth. And then finally, there's a QR code here that can take you to our website, and you can scan that and learn more. So we hope to talk to you again.
Thanks, Celeste.
Thank you, Celeste.